Their eliminator was amazing, but is this Manticora any good? Let's find out. Hello and welcome back to the channel. In this video we're gonna take a look at Sexy Eyes 2019 Manticora. A big thank you to the guys from Bombusbee store and Sexy Eyes 2019 for making this review possible. Bombusbee is the exclusive distributor for Sexy Eyes figures, so if you want to get Manticora, you can do so over my link in the video description. Pre-orders are still up and this figure should be released in the upcoming days, so you should have it in your hands soon. For all the news and updates for their upcoming releases, follow Sexy Eyes on Instagram and Twitter or X. Okay, so previously I reviewed their eliminator and I was blown away by its quality. You know that the figure is good when it's not connected to any globally popular franchise and you still consider it a candidate for the figure of the year. I can't describe how fun it was for me to mess around with it. I made a posing video for it and I remember I've spent few hours posing it because the articulation is so good that the poses just kept coming. This guy looks good practically in any pose. Anyway, what I want to say is I was very impressed with that eliminator and now I hope that this figure will have the same level of quality. I am very excited to finally see this Manticora in person, so without further ado, let's check it out. First, a quick look at the packaging. And it's a nice premium looking black box, and I've noticed how these Chinese companies really like black boxes. LPZZ and InArt are doing the same thing. But here, the box is matte, while the image of Manticora is glossy and reflective when you move the packaging like this. Over the image is a text saying Artificial Evolution B0199 Manticora. Down here we have Vermin series logo and Sexy Eyes logo. This side again says Artificial Evolution B0199. Here is how the back side of the box looks, and here we have a symbol that includes some kind of bug or insect, a human eye and few triangles. Underneath that we have warnings on how to handle the figure. Here is the other side of the box. There's nothing on top, and on the bottom we have some more information, including the plastic used for this figure, and it is PVC, ABS and POK. Well, okay, enough about the box. Now, let's open it up and let's take a look at what we are dealing with here. And when opening the box, first thing you'll see is this cardboard cover with a nice black and white illustration of Manticora. And then you get it like this in this plastic tray. You remove this piece here. Here is where the accessories are. And then in the back of this tray, you will find a bonus accessory, or rather a gift. Here is Sexy Eyes Manticora out of the box, and based on my first impressions, I'm happy to say that this figure is incredible. It's not even just because of how it looks, but also because how it feels. Now, we saw on the box what type of plastic is this company using, and honestly I'm not someone who knows much about that stuff, but what I do know is that the joints especially feel so nice and smooth when you move them around. I would say that the plastic is as good or possibly even better than the one used by companies like InArt and LPZZ or UPF. I've been saying it for months now, these Chinese companies are killing it. They are slowly taking over the action figure market with their high quality products, and funny thing is, they just got started. Manticora is around 19.5 centimeters tall and it has some weight. This is not a light figure, but I mean, look how good it looks even in a simple standing pose like this. The whole body is dark gray with some nice shading, a slightly shiny and reflective surface as you can see here with these lights, and there are orange accents of lines and dots spread across the whole figure, both in front and back. And what I especially love about this figure is how organic the sculpt looks. There are practically no straight lines here. Well, there is this straight line going across the middle of the head, but everything else, every sculpted detail on this guy is wavy, curvy, and again creates an organic organic and dynamic aesthetic, and I really like that. The head has an interesting design. It is inspired by stag beetle's head with these large antler-like jaws that are curved and have these smaller spikes here. Just a heads up, they are kind of pointy, so be careful when handling your figure. Underneath, he has like a chin with a tusk on each side. And then again, you see that straight line going across the middle of the head, the neck, and continues down the spine. And all of these cracks, these sculpted lines, are filled in with a darker orange paint. It is much easier to see these details in person. What I also like is that some pieces of the figure look like a natural armor that we see on some bugs and insects. So, for example, the upper part of his back and both shoulder pieces look like that. They have a smooth surface with these sculpted and colored in dots. But then, as a contrast to these armored parts, we see his lower back that look more segmented, more complicated, and it has a rougher texture. That is especially noticeable on the front of the figure, where both upper and lower torso is like that. And I love how dynamic this looks. And again, we have all of these indented lines and dots that are filled in with orange paint. And I had to light it up a little bit just so that you guys can see it a little bit better. His arms look good, even though they are kind of too long. But since this is not a human character, proportions are allowed to be off like that. Arms have these armor-looking gauntlets with spikes here and relaxed hands with long fingers. His crotch is a floating piece and his legs are also nicely sculpted and fully armored. Here is how the back of the legs look, and you can see that they are double jointed. Even the knees have this spike-looking shape. And then down at the ankles, these pieces are sculpted separately, so you can adjust them and cover the gap when you move the feet. And the feet are also nicely sculpted, although I have to point out that the bottom is slightly curved, as you can see. And this figure is top heavy. It does stand on its own, that is really not an issue, but I'm just pointing out that it doesn't have flat feet, just so that you are careful on how you are leaving it on your shelf. You certainly don't want your $100 figure to fall on the floor and potentially break, so do be careful. Okay, let's now take a look at his articulation. We have one articulation point at the top of the neck and one on the bottom. So together, the neck and the head give you a nice range of movement. This guy can look side to side, rotate the head 360. He even has a nice side to side tilt. Here's how far he can look down. He can bury his chin into his chest. And then here's how far he can look up. And this is really impressive. Now, strangely enough, this guy doesn't have a butterfly joint. And since these figures are kind of inspired by Revoltech, you would probably expect a Revoltech style butterfly joint, but this guy doesn't have it. And that's actually nothing new for this line, because Eliminator also didn't have butterfly joints. What we do have is this huge ball joint in the shoulders. And you can see that it also has that dotted pattern on it. And so without those butterfly joints, here is how far his arms can go across his chest. And then here is how far they go across his back. Shoulder armor pieces are on a hinge, so they do move out of the way like this and free up the shoulder articulation. So the arms can move forwards and back, although it's a weird angle, so it's kind of difficult to do the whole 360 movement of the arm, and I don't want to risk and break the figure, but this guy doesn't really have any issues with putting his arms up, because here is the range, for example, of the arm going out like this, and you can see how the shoulder armor moves out of the way and slides covering the gap here, so it again looks pretty good, especially when you pose it from certain angles. You can hide those gaps even better, similar as Revoltech. Then we get two swivels here. We have a swivel here where the arm is connected to this ball joint, and I forgot to mention that these shoulder armor pieces also swivel, so that's good. And then we have another swivel here, a bicep swivel, as you can see. Here is how the elbows are designed, and so here is how far they can bend. For the torso, we actually have three cuts here. One is up here where the chest is, and you can see where the gap is. We have another cut here, because this middle piece is actually a floating piece, and it serves for covering the gaps. And then a third point of articulation is here at the base of the torso. And with all of these, you will get a nice side-to-side rotation, a great side-to-side tilt. Here is how he looks neutral from the side, and then look how far he bends forward. Look at this. His chest collides with his crotch piece. That's a really nice range. And then look how far he can bend back. this is a really great range of movement. For the legs, there are no drop downs in the hips, but this is how far they move out, forwards and back. Then we have a thigh cut hidden behind this armor piece, and so here is where we get our thigh swivel. He has double jointed knees that bend this much, and then for the feet, as I already pointed out, we have this separately sculpted ankle piece that covers the gaps, and this is how far the feet move forward, back. We have a nice toe joint, but these two toes can actually move separately, like this, see? And finally, he has a beautiful ankle pivot. Let's now take a look at the accessories that we get with this guy. First, we get an instruction manual, a nice little booklet that shows you how to handle the figure and how to swap the accessories. So that's always good to have so that you know what you're doing, especially if you're new to this line. You get a pair of interchangeable wrist joints, and that's good in case you need replacements. We also get a display base that has this Vermin series logo here. Base is nice and matte, and then we have a translucent arm, and you also get two of these clamps for some reason. And I would say that this stand is probably too small for this guy. This is a big figure, but I appreciate when a company gives us stands with their releases. He also comes with some alternate hands. We have a pair of relaxed hands that are already on the figure, then we get a pair of fisted hands, a pair of wide spread out hands, and you can see these long pointy fingers. I love how these hands turned out. They look nice and dynamic. But then he also comes with one more alternate hand. This one is kind of similar to the previous ones that we saw, but when we compare them side by side, you can see that the design, the gesture is not completely the same. This one, I assume, is specifically designed to hold one other accessory that we get in this set, and that is this alternate head for our Eliminator. And my god, look how good this looks. The level of detail, the grossness of this design. This guy is hit by some kind of nasty disease coming out of his skull. He has open screaming mouth, and yeah, just overall this looks beautiful. You can see parts of the head, the muscles, the arteries here in the back, and then his robotic spine with these cut off wires of the neck. This looks fantastic. And here is the default head on that previous Eliminator. So this hand that we just saw is specifically designed to hold this head. And so at first I was kind of struggling to get this head to fit properly in this hand and stay, but now I've done it and the hand does hold the head. Here they do show you exactly where you need to put each finger so that the hand locks on to the head. This finger should go here where this spike is, and then the next one goes into the hole of the nose, and the next finger goes into the hole of the eye, and this finger ends up being here. So that is how you should do this grip properly. Switching out the hands is not an issue at all. They are made out of a softer rubbery plastic, and these wrist pieces are sculpted separately and they can be removed, they can come off, but that's with a little bit of pulling, you know. On their own, these pieces won't fall off. They are kind of locked by friction behind this wrist ball joint. And here is a better look at how the wrist peg looks. And here he is holding that Eliminator head on his own. And as you can see, this looks really, really good. Now here are the two heads that we got with Eliminator. I just wanted to check if this head can fit on this guy. And yeah, this pops off, so it's made out of two separate pieces. We pop off Eliminator's head, lock this one in, and yeah, here we go. We have a third look for this Eliminator. Look at that. Here are now all three options that we have for this guy. But we are not finished. We also get an alternate battle damaged head for Manticora. So he has only one of his antlers, and this also looks pretty good. I love the way that they sculpt and paint these flash looking pieces. The shading is really nice. Switching out to the heads, here is how the neck joint looks. We pop the alternate head on, and then here is how the figure looks with that battle damaged head. So these are our two options. But that's also not all in terms of battle damaged parts. Namely, he also comes with this piece. This is his alternate left arm. You see the joint here, and this actually does move a little bit. There is a little bit of swivel here and a little bit of hinge. So in order to switch between the two, we need to pop off this arm. And that was actually scary to do because, of course, I don't want to break this thing. So I had to heat up the plastic with a hairdryer just for a couple of seconds to make the plastic a little bit warm and a little bit softer in order to remove the arm. And now I've finally done it. So we should now connect this piece to this spec hole here. It has a certain angle, so we align the two, and make sure you are careful when handling this because all of these spikes are really pointy and sharp, so you could hurt yourself. So here is how the figure looks with those damaged parts. And you can see one more time how the sculpt and paint job are beautiful here. And you can see all of these poking marks on my finger. But yeah, this looks really good and it's a nice option to have for your shelf. But let's give him back his proper arm because he also comes with his so-called burst arm cannon. Look at this. It's a whole lower arm replacement for his right arm, and just look how good this looks. The combination of dark gray and these flash looking details that are inside of the armor, this looks really good. And again, we have all of these sharp and pointy spikes coming out of it, so again we need to be careful when handling this. So let's now put this on the figure. So first we need to remove his lower arm, like that, and then we simply pop this on, like that. And so now we have Manticora with his arm cannon. I love it. But that's actually not all, because he also comes with 4 smoke effects. We have this bigger one, and we see a few holes here, so this is for us to attach it to the figure. Then we get these 2 smaller smoke effects, and finally this one, this long one, with this plug down here. And so what we should do is plug this into here, like that. The largest smoke effect goes over these 3 spikes here, and you can actually see 3 holes here. So we simply align this and just slide it over those spikes. And then out of these 2 smaller smoke effects, this one right here also goes onto his cannon, but on the other side, and you slide it over these 2 spikes here. So these 2 ends should point down, and you slide them on like this. So this is now the look that we have. And then the last smoke effect that is left is this one right here. You can see that it has a little bit of pink color down here, and this is actually where our peg is. So this point right here connects right here into his wound. You can also see this pointy end down here. That one should actually end up touching this small indentation down here. So you simply put this smoke effect into that position and peg it in like this. And so now we have our Manticora with all of his smoking effects. And doesn't this look amazing? Oh, and finally, I almost forgot, you also get a bonus keychain here. And it is the same eliminator head that we saw, but this one is just molded in color plastic. There is no paint on this keychain, but same as with the first head, this one also pops into 2 pieces, so in case you need this, there you go. But let's now compare this guy to some other figures. First, here is how he scales with Sexy Ice Eliminator from the same line, and the original Amazing Yamaguchi 2.0 Deadpool that is here because these Sexy Ice figures are kind of inspired by Revoltech design. And you can see that Manticora towers over both of these guys. Revoltech Deadpool is significantly shorter than both of Sexy Ice figures, but Manticora is definitely a big figure. But then we're gonna compare him to some other figure lines, so for example with the SH Figuarts Star Wars Anakin and Darth Maul, and then with Mayfax Classic Suits Spidey and Daredevil, AC Factory Ultron and City Toys Brown Suit Wolverine, Sentinel Peter B. Parker and Mass Toys Symbiote Spidey, Star Wars The Black Series Vader and Stormtrooper, Marvel Legends Maximum Series Spider-Man and X-Men 97 Wolverine, Roman Key Big Guy Base Body and ZD Toys Iron Man Mark III, McFarlane and Fonjoy Superman, Flap Toys Daredevil and Figma Link, LPZZ Arkham Knight Batman and InArt Dark Knight Trilogy Batman, NECA TMNT Movie Raphael, and Masters of the Universe Revelation He-Man, NECA Feral Predator and Savage Crucible Veteris Repax, and finally YOLO Park Transformers AMK Pro Series, Optimus and Starscream. So there you go, that was my look at Sexy Ice 2019 Manticora, and in my opinion this is another big win for this company. You saw everything I showed you as much as I possibly could. To me, this figure is a work of art. Is it 100% 100% perfect? Of course not. No figure ever is. There is always some room for improvement. But the big thing here is that this does not represent any character from any known popular franchise that is stuck in our brains. I don't see this figure and instantly compare it to the source material, comics, TV shows or movies. These guys are doing their own thing, so the likeness is really not a factor with these figures. What the real factor is the quality of the plastic and the playability. The movement of this figure is so good. It is a lot of fun to mess around with it, to pose it in all kinds of crazy poses, you know, similar to what you get out of a Revoltech figure. Now this is obviously not Revoltech, but it does have a similar idea, only with less gaps in the sculpt. So the design is great, articulation as well, and you even get some fun accessories, including an alternate head that you can use on Eliminator. All in all, this is a fantastic figure, and if you are a fan of crazy things like this, if you love toy photography and you love posing your figures, I strongly recommend that you give this guy a shot. If you can afford it, of course, because this guy is not cheap. But if you do have a budget for it, it's a strong recommendation on my part. As I already said, Manticora should be released in the upcoming days, and if I'm not mistaken, their next figure after that is Smasher. Now that one is more in line with Eliminator. It's a similar body mold, but still with a different design, and I don't know about you, but to me that figure also looks fun and we'll be able to get some crazy poses out of it, so I'm looking forward to Smasher as well. Once again, a big thank you to the guys from Bombusbee store and Sexy Eyes 2019 for making this review possible. In case you want to get this figure, you can do so over Bombusbee store, which is the exclusive distributor for Sexy Eyes. You will find the link down in the video description. And also make sure to follow Sexy Eyes on Instagram and Twitter or X in order to stay up to date with all of their news and future projects. But there you go, you've heard my thoughts, and now, as always, I would love to hear yours. So, what do you guys think about this figure? Do you like how it looks? Do you plan to get it? What do you think about this action figure line in general? Were you able to get their Eliminator? Are you looking forward to Smasher? Let me know all of it down in the comments. As always, a huge thank you to my Patreon and channel members for their support. If you can also join and help, please do so. Links are in the video description. And of course, to all of you guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here with me, and I'll see ya in the next video.